records show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Governance Code, Chapter 551. We will start with saying the Pledge of Allegiance, if you will join me. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. You may be seated. Section 2 of our agenda calls for a roll call for members present and any that be absent. I will make that roll call this time. Ms. Felicia Moody.
Here.
Ms. Debbie Villa-Gomez.
Here.
Ms. Maria Cruz Perez.
Here.
Sean Glovier.
Here.
Dr. Maria Douglas.
Here.
Darrell Owens is here, and Mr. Esteban Serla is absent for tonight. Okay. Next, we'll take a look and see if there are anyone signed up for any comments on our agenda items. Thank you, Dr. Douglas. Okay. So we have no one signed up for any comments on our agenda items. We will next move to anyone with comments on our non-agenda items. And we do have one person, that is Mr. Michael Cagle. And if you will come, Mr. Cagle will give you 5 minutes. And at the 4-minute mark, I'm going to ask Dr. Douglas just to kind of say 1 minute warning. Okay?
I just want to comment. I've gotten several questions through email and through a lot of other things about voter registration. It's an election year, and so I just want to talk just a second on a couple of things. We are required by the state to have 2 voter registration drives at the high school this year. I just wanted to stop by. I'm about to head home and tell Dr. Douglas, thank you. She gave us some great ideas and has worked as a community group that we are going to employ to actually come in and talk with the kids and improve those voter registration drives. I've tried some different things in the past, but I just wanted to reassure everyone that we're going to do that in this presidential year. In fact, I said earlier that we had the PEMS roll up last night, and that's important because now I told Dr. Douglas I would start sending out some communication early about some deadlines for our students and voter registration, all those. So I just appreciate Dr. Douglas, but I've been asked the question several times, your phone calls, emails, this, that, and the other, but board, I just want you to know that we're going to have objective ways, not we're going to be, but we're going to have those, we're going to have different ways of drives and have some people come out to talk with kids to help them through that process and all of those things. And anyway, I just want to put that reassurance to you, and that's it. Voter registration, we're doing it. So.
Awesome.
Very good.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cagle. Awesome. Okay. So we'll now go to section 5, which is the consent agenda. All items listed under this subheading will be adopted with one motion unless they are removed from the consent agenda by a trustee for discussion. And no one has asked for that to happen. So far as the consent agenda is concerned, I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept all items as presented under the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Maria Douglas and second by Ms. Debbie Villa-Gomez. All in favor of adoption of the minutes, let it be known by, of the consent agenda. Let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passes unanimously. Thank you all. And we'll now move to section 6 of our agenda, which is the business items requiring action. And we'll start with 6A, Dr. G.
And this is the Huckabee Design Development, and Robert will be giving the presentation.
Evening, board members. I'm filling in for Josh tonight. He had a last-minute conflict and asked if I would step in. I promise not to throw him under the bus. So I'm going to be nice here. But some of the stuff you've seen, we've just kind of had an evolution to get to this point in design development. So I'll talk you through it fairly quickly here, if it works. Help a brother out here. There we go. Let's try that. Okay. So, starting with the site plan, you guys have seen some of this. I want to remind you some of the work that we're doing. The drives in and around the campus are going to remain the same. on the top of the page there. And then towards the back where the kitchen is, we're gonna have to do some curb cuts for ADA access, easy delivery to the kitchen. The playscapes and covers are gonna be replaced, so the kids will have a new playscape out there, as well as the surfacing material. We're gonna use something very similar to what we did in the multipurpose room at the Early Childhood Center. Kind of an all-weather, softer, but also sturdy material down there. Nothing too sexy on the outside. On the inside is where all the work is gonna take place. This kind of gives you an idea overall of what we're doing. Nothing particular about the colors, other than to say in the corridors, classrooms, we're getting paint, we're getting flooring, we're getting wainscot in the corridors to protect the walls. Generally just dressing up the facility. There's some work in the gym that includes telescoping bleachers, finishes, acoustics, that type of thing. But overall, we're addressing finishes and cleanup within the building. We put this together for you to kind of give you an idea of how we're seeing the building lay out. We met with the campus principal, talked about the grade level 2nd through 5th and how they're going to lay out. Went back and forth with a few options, but as you're looking at the page to the far right, those are the larger classrooms. We're setting those up primarily for specials, and I don't mean necessarily special ed. We're talking art, gifted and talented, the STEAM lab, those types of things, computer lab. They're just bigger spaces, they're more functional, they can handle kids, and you can allow equipment and manipulatives in there very well. The yellow are the general classrooms, and then we've got sort of a peach color in there that are some flex spaces. Give the campus some room for growth, but also allow the campus leadership, if they have some programs they want to bring into the district, they can use those rooms for different things. Cafeteria, library, all those spaces will get addressed. But we wanted to kind of give you an idea of how we're trying to cluster the grades through the center of the school, specials on the right, and then specials distributed throughout the campus to support the student population. Now we're getting into what it might actually look like. We've gone through several schemes and come up with, I think, an attractive scheme for wayfinding. We're using colors, accent tiles on the floor and in the corridors in terms of the floor tile and the wall paint to designate between the various grade levels. I think that's going to help students with wayfinding as well as parents and visitors to the campus, and I think it's going to add some life to the building. Not that there's not good life there now, but we're going to brighten it up and make it attractive in line with what we did at Arthur. Various different types of finishes and paints. I'll get into that just a little bit now. This kind of gives you an idea of some of the finishes we're looking at. We are looking at some acoustical treatments in the gym. I've got a rendering here in just a little bit I'll share with you. But we've also got wall tile that we're going to put up to about 4 to 6 feet to keep the little boogers from tearing up the walls, that kind of thing. So, but also make it attractive. To the right, we've got the paint that we'll use to accent those corridors for our wayfinding. We're going down with some acoustical treatments there in the middle for the gymnasium. We get into the actual flooring. Our main LVT in the corridors and the classrooms is going to be the gray that you see on your left. With the accent tiles, again, in line with the paint that I showed you on the previous slide, we'll complement the gray and the accent on the walls to give each grade level and each specific zone their own, I guess, feel. We're looking at a nice carpet in the library and the music room. It looks gray, but if you look really closely, you'll see some different tints of green and blue streaks through it. It's really a nice carpet tile. It's a 2x2 tile that if something does go right, you can pop out a tile and put another tile in. The hexagon on the top there is the porcelain tile that we'll use in and around drinking fountains, the wet areas. We're looking at the gray base cove. Toilet partitions are going to be black composite, and then we've got the tile in the restrooms. The floor in the restrooms is going to be the resinous type epoxy flooring. Easy maintenance and very durable. We're looking at wood planking in the office and admin areas that I think will just have a bit of a transition from education to, okay, now we've got wood floors, behave yourself, you're in the admin kind kind of approach. And then you see the laminates and the wood that we're using for the cabinets and millwork throughout the campus. This gives you an idea of kind of what we're thinking in the gym. 3D dimension of the gym. Of course, you're getting the new telescoping bleachers in the gym. We're going to use the various colors of acoustical paneling to kind of reduce noise. We're also looking at putting some tectum panels on the trusses up high in the gym. Just take away some of that noise impact in the elementary gym. If you guys have been in there when those kids are running around, it is noisy, and so hoping to mitigate that just a little bit. We will get new flooring in the gym. We're going to get rid of the VCT tile and go in with a wood look. This is a floor that has some resilience. It's not a hard floor, so it's great for elementary kids. We'll have black wall pads where we need them under the baskets, a pretty tame field paint that's going to, I think, be a good background to the acoustical panels that we're using on the walls. This gives you an idea, and this is kind of looking down that specials wing. The larger classes are off to the left. You'll note some windows there. The idea is to open up some windows, particularly in the STEAM lab, so that folks that are visiting the campus can look in and see all the activity that's going on. You might say, well, I'm kind of concerned about, exposure of students, but what we've done here is actually located these windows. If you remember, those are sort of paired classrooms, and so we're going to have windows in the highly active classrooms. If there is an issue, a lockdown, the students can all migrate to the other classroom where they're out of sight. But you can see how the green with the gray floor tile, the green access tile or accent tile gives an indication, okay guys, we're here, we're on the specials. You'll note the corridor to the right there with the blue, that will take them into the 5th grade wing. So it's really a nice blend of colors. And then this is out of my realm of authority here or expertise, but these architects get together and come up with great ideas on, you'll notice the water fountains there to the left. That's got that hexagon tile there as the backdrop for the wet area, kind of dressing up the wet area coming out of the restrooms. Give it some life in those spaces. You can see again the finishes and the paints and wall tile that we're using throughout the campus. It's really going to brighten it up and I think make it something you guys can be very proud of. Schedule-wise, we're right on track. If you guys will consider approval of the design development tonight, we'll move into construction documents. We might let this shift just a little. It's not going to hurt us in the long run, but we want to make sure we get the construction manager on board. He has a chance to look at how we're going to phase this. I'll speak to this a little bit in my update later, but Delaney and Patterson are both getting upgrades. Patterson's got a little more breathing room than Delaney does. We might be able to attack Patterson, very similar to how we're doing the high school, in that we kind of play musical chairs while we renovate. We move students around, allow us to work through the year. Delaney might be a bit of a challenge, but we're going to work through that with the campus leadership, and might push the actual bid proposal date out to maybe October, maybe November. But this kind of gives you an idea where we're at with schedule, and we've left it out there just in case we need both the 2025 and the 2026 summer to get in that campus and do wholesale renovation where we need to. So with that, Josh will be here at the next meeting to answer any questions. So, any questions? It's coming along.
So what are those the last year's the bigger classrooms, what are those gonna be?
Pre-K, kinder classroom.
So we're gonna make them, library arts, GT, and the STEM lab.
In computer?
And computer, computer. Art, computer.
I think I talked about when we were looking at renovations, especially with the junior high, with the addition, all that, and with the elementaries, of adding STEM labs into those buildings.
Steam room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are, this one's the ones that were 5th grade this last year.
The ones that are 5th grade,
Yeah.
last year.
The big
fifth
cluster.
grade,
Yeah, fifth
kinder
grade.
Previous to that.
Yeah.
Those are big.
So two things. First of all, maybe not a question for you, but I kept looking over your left shoulder and seeing Miss Poor and wondering if her face was that of concern or excitement or what. Are you good?
I'm good.
Okay, all right. That was my number
I'm
one.
good. No,
And number
I'm
two.
I'm excited for what's
Okay.
gonna
Okay. You had a look on your face, and I was like,
Was it the yellow in the gym? That's where my face made a face.
Well, you know what?
No.
That was actually gonna be my next thing was, I will say, I think that yellow ochre looks a bit, I'm in favor of that over, whatever that avocado color was,
The lime green.
the last time we looked at colors.
You mean the acoustical panels?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the original school colors have yellow in them. I didn't know if that
That's
was-
actually true.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you see those people when they get together for the all-class reunion, some of those old letter jackets, yellow and green. Not mine.
Yellow, green, and white.
Interesting. Okay.
Was yours yellow?
No, mine was green and white.
Okay.
Before
Black
the
and-
black was added.
Okay.
Okay, any additional questions for Robert regarding the Huckabee design of Delaney Elementary as related to the 2023 bond? No additional questions? Then I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the Huckabee design developments for Kennedall. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in the wrong one. It's for Delaney. Hold, please. Make a motion to approve the design developments for Delaney Elementary as related to the 2023 bond as presented.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Villa-Gomez and second by Mr. Glovier. All in
Yeah,
favor
it's
of
like-
that motion, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you all.
My paper
for-
was wrong, sorry.
We now move to section 6B, and gosh, he's back again. Back again.
All right, board members, as you know, we've brought the design to you several times to consider for the Central Warehouse and Technology Center. We put it out on the streets, had a lot of interest in it. We actually received 6 proposals from various contractors around the Metroplex. The evaluation team got together and went through them. We looked at their qualifications, we looked at their teams. More importantly, we looked at their experience in schools, with school districts, and work in and around the Metroplex area. Had a pretty good gap between a couple contractors and then the other 4. And going through them, we ranked them. I think in your package, you have a sheet. I've actually put it on your desk because the first sheet in your package, there was a short between the user and the keyboard. You actually only got 1 tab, 1 evaluation. You didn't actually get the summary sheet. So I've given you the summary sheet that shows the average of all the scores. The way we scored it out, ABG ranked the highest. Couple reasons. One, of their experience in the Metroplex, their availability to Kennedale, their price with the alternate put them in a pretty good position compared to the other contractors. And their days were good. They've also got a really good track record with Kennedale ISD, and I think that kind of pushed them over the top. So our recommendation tonight, the reason some of the others didn't score as high is, 1, they don't do much schoolwork. 2, they're not that large. We're a little concerned about their financial capacity to extend out this kind of project. But mostly it was the lack of schoolwork and their presence in the area. One of the contractors is new to the area and they're a small shop now, but they actually have work all over the country, but they're breaking into the Fort Worth Metroplex. And a lot of times those kind of guys don't really get a good following on bid day. And so we want good coverage and try to get the best value back to you guys. And so our recommendation tonight is you consider ABG for the general contractor for the Central Warehouse remodel project.
Any questions for Robert?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
What is bid, turn it this way, alternate, and it says negative $5,000.
Yes, so what we did is, so thank you for asking that. We had the base bid. There was a lot of work, furniture specific to the technology area, and then some as well in the warehouse area for offices and such. And we had originally, Reliance had originally specified a furniture provider as the basis of bid. But just visiting with the team, we realized there might be more value if we went with or provided an alternate bid if we went with this vendor. For some reason, they got squirrely numbers from other, to other contractors, but for ABG, if we went to the alternate manufacturer, it was a $5,000 credit. For the other ones, it was an increase. There was one other contractor, I believe, $7,000 credit, that's Chrisman. Yeah, but it was a credit back, so the recommendation for award would be their base bid minus $5,000. $3,638,000.
Sounds like a pretty good, deal.
Well, it's right in line, if you'll, I think maybe the sheet that you have in your actual packet, you'll see that that was the number we presented to you last time, was right at about 3.5 million. So, and we were estimating days, we pretty much came here right where we thought we would be. Yes, ma'am.
In comparison, I guess, two of them, Morales and Chrisman, would come in two with their 85 score, right? If I'm looking at the numbers with a base bid, Chrisman, 3,288,000 minus the bid alternative. So they also kind of come in there good with their numbers, but they do score a little bit differently.
Came in pretty low with their numbers, but they're the firm that just moved into the Metroplex. They showed up at the pre-proposal conference for the CM at risk for the high school, and they didn't submit on that or the junior high, which makes me think they don't have the capacity to handle projects that big. They're just trying to get their feet in the door, and given the challenges we've had with you know what I'm talking about. We weren't necessarily drawn to the low bid, and we weren't prepared to take a gamble on a contractor that is trying to cut his teeth. Maybe a different project, but this is pretty important in terms of your warehouse structure as well as your technology group. And between Ms. Mode and Mr. Franklin, those are going to be two hard people with high expectations, and I didn't want to put you guys in a position of dealing with somebody that's just getting into it. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Any additional questions? If that, no additional questions, then I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve Authors Building Group as the general contractor for renovations to the cheer gym into a central warehouse / technology office as related to the 2023 bond.
Motion by Mr. Glovier and second by Ms. Cruz Perez. All in favor, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
We now go to section 6C to discuss and consider attendance-related waiver requests. Dr. G.
And?
Oh,
Ms. West.
Ms. West?
Ms. West will be doing this, okay.
So if a district had a day where they had their average daily attendance was lower than the year previously by greater than 10%, you can file for a low attendance day waiver if it was related to health, safety, or weather. So I had Ms. Walsh, our PEMS coordinator, she went through every day to see where we could offer this. And Patterson and Delaney both had 3 days in January where their daily attendance was greater than 10% lower than the year before. That's hard to, you'll follow. Then we can apply for that waiver. And all that does is that takes it out of the account for funding. It doesn't give you 100% for that day. It removes it so it doesn't negatively impact our funding.
It just benefits us, so.
Yeah.
Yes,
Bumps the average.
yes.
Yeah. It's like dropping a grade. It's a good
Especially
deal.
when we're funded off that.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
kind of a, seems like a
And
positive there.
Are you
And you
right?
have to
limited
have
on that?
proof, I'm sorry.
Yeah, are you limited on how many of those you can do a year?
I'm not sure if there's a limit, but you have to have proof as to why you are, there may
Right.
be a limit of 10 days, seems like that's in my head, but you have to have proof as to why so you have to have news articles, you have to have things, so, she has the nursing where they sent kids home, there was like a lot of hand, foot, and mouth, or flu, and that kind of thing, so we have the news articles as well as, the number of kids that were sent home by the nurse.
Mhm.
So that will all be uploaded to TEA.
Gotcha.
I'm okay with that.
So Ms. West, this is my question, and this may sound crazy, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. So were these the only days that we qualified for, or were you
Yes.
trying to not ask for all of them because you were?
No, they were the only days that were qualified.
Okay, all right. I'm trying to get more.
And only, yes, you and me both.
You know what?
And only these two campuses.
I think we all are.
Okay. All right, sounds like just a requirement that we need to do.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
questions from Ms. West regarding that? Pretty straightforward. I'll entertain a motion for that as well.
Make a motion to approve the submission of a low attendance waiver to TEA for the campuses and things as presented.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Dr. Douglas and second by Mr. Glover. All in favor, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. So that will conclude our section that requires action. We will now move to section 7, which is for our information only. And
7A. Dr. Devlin will give the counseling services program update for 7A.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Tonight I'll be providing our annual update on our counseling services program. We'll review the model that we follow, Texas Comprehensive School Counseling, the services we provide in Kendall IC to meet those requirements, and also look at some data at the end to see how some program shifts might happen for 24-25. So counseling touches everything. It's an integral part of a student's day in and day out as far as ensuring that they have the resources they need to be successful, whether that be clothing, food, shelter, and then also making sure their social and emotional well-being and providing those framework and foundational pieces in addition to academic, post-secondary advising as well. So we as a department touch every aspect within their educational environment, hopefully achieving a holistic viewpoint and success for these students. We do follow the Texas model for comprehensive school counseling program, which has specified requirements of how counselors spend their time and in which domains they need to spend those time at certain grade levels and how much time they should spend in each of those domains pertaining to their grade levels. So we make sure to follow that and track that. The 4 areas in which they primarily spend their time is guidance curriculum, responsive services, individual planning, and system support. So guidance curriculum, ensuring that they have the educational pieces, whether that's post-secondary, career exploration, SEL, and so forth. Responsive services is meeting the immediate needs of students, whatever that might be in a crisis situation or coming in and needing some resources based on life at home. Individual planning is really looking at individual needs, if they need very specific intentional plans for academic, social, emotional behavior. And then system support is how we work within the system of the campuses and the community to make sure all those services are coming together to support our students. We work within a tiered system, so starting with all students receiving guidance curriculum, and then from there, some students might need some extra support through small groups, and then from there, more targeted intervention might be through our intervention counselor and one-on-one counseling services, or potentially referral outside of the district. What those programs look like in Kendall ISD in each of those domains is just a snapshot of what our SEL guidance curriculum, we've worked really hard these last few years to get our guidance curriculum streamlined and being very consistent, pre-K all the way through 8th grade, and then now adding into high school. We also work with our Paw Pride character traits district-wide, Play It Safe, meeting those compliance requirements, but also providing a robust SEL education for our students at all grade levels. Responsive services ranging from small group, individual, meeting with a social worker, or maybe the district intervention counselor, and then system support between 504, monitoring at risk, looking at any kind of coordinated resources within certain programs in the community or within the school district to support our students, and then individual planning, PGPs, personal graduation plans. It might be something that we're looking at specific goal setting for a student, academic advising, and so forth. Support, it takes a team, of course, in working with this, and we have a very diverse team in our counseling department. We're very fortunate to maintain our social workers, which have an integral part in supporting our students and families, our campus counselors, our district intervention counselor, and then our CCMR coordinator. We've also been very fortunate to kind of maintain best practices in counselor to student ratios, and this was last year's ratios compared to next year's with moving first grade to our early childhood center. And then our social worker ratios, we have an elementary social worker that serves our pre-K through 5th grade, Then we have a partnership with our communities and schools case managers. We have one for junior high, one for high school, and then district intervention counselor who serves the entire district. And looking at our resources and what are some of the curriculum components that we utilize, we use Second Step, we partner with Play It Safe, and then Youth Equipped to Succeed. Those last two are outside programs that come in and present to our students. Character education is also through our Second Step SEL guidance curriculum, and then our Paw Pride character traits. Mental health, we partner with T-Chat, which is also a very targeted support for our students and families where they can have counseling sessions with a counselor at school online, with a licensed counselor with parent permission, of course, and they get up to 6 counseling sessions. And then beyond that, they get a review with a T-Chat case manager and decide if they want to continue those services or need a referral outside. Post-secondary planning, we have Zello, where students kindergarten all the way through 12th grade have the opportunity to look at different careers, explore personality inventories, and so forth to help them build up a portfolio by the time they get to high school, really 8th grade. They're able to identify their interests and align that with their PGP and being able to explore those post-secondary options. And then we have Parent U, which is an in-house workshop, in-house filmed workshops that we provide for our parents that we post online. How do we plan? Well, how do we make the decisions for our programs and what the needs of our students? We do a lot of that through our counselor referral forms. So our counselor referrals are cataloged through our Qualtrics, and we look at those every month, but we provide a data report to campuses on what's happening at their campus. What have been the most top 5 counselor referrals for your 9 weeks? What is landing students in your office to kind of get an idea of what our student needs are to see what different shifts we might need to make in our programs. In addition, counselors fill out monthly program forms on how they spend time in those 4 component areas: guidance, support services, individual planning, and responsive services, as a planning sheet that they share with me and their campus principal, always knowing that it might need to pivot based on needs of that month, but also looking back at our data and seeing what the needs of our students are saying that need to be supported that next month. And then we have our campus data reports that we have on our site that's in-house, that we share all of these data with our campus admin teams and district staff as well. So here's a little snapshot of our counseling dashboard. This is a district overview. Of course, data tells how effective our programs are and what pivots we might need to make, if any. I broke this down in elementary. Each campus, of course, has their own data as well. But for tonight's presentation, I have it broken down as elementary. So total counselor referrals for elementary campuses, kind of see the trend of monthly referrals, and then where our top needs are as far as our young kids are in their needs. So check-ins is a lot. So those are repeats, check-ins with our campus counselor based on a variety of needs. And then anger, aggression, disrespect, and peer relationships were the main top issues in landing in our counseling office. For secondary, it definitely shifts to more academic, post-secondary advising. A good portion of our counselors' time at secondary campuses is spent on scheduling, advising students on their graduation plans, and so forth. In addition, the student needs have shown that checking in, of course, regular check-ins with the counselors, disruption in class, anger, aggression, and peer relationships again. For our social worker at the elementary level, she checks in with students regularly and then also sees students based on disruption in class, peer relationships, and a lot of resources needed in providing those connections with families. For secondary, communities and schools, very similar. And then our intervention counselor. So these would be our tier 3 students that need more targeted intervention. This is what she saw land in her office this year. Our priorities for next year are really streamlining our college and career planning and ensuring all students kindergarten through 12th grade are starting their portfolio in Zello and then finishing it in high school. Last year was our first year to have it at high school, so we're still building that foundational piece, but where students can explore based on their interests, their personality inventories, and so forth, but we start that in kindergarten. And then continuing to align SEL curriculum, we've done a great job getting it through 8th grade. Next year, we're working really hard in getting it into high school and doing more SEL lessons there. And then continue to evaluate, make sure that we're in compliance with legislative requirements related to our comprehensive school counseling program. That's all I have. Any questions?
I have a question. As it relates to college and career planning, can you, I've always been a little bit confused with how Zell is being used at such a young age. What exactly is going on when you're in kindergarten, first grade, second grade?
So in the younger grades, it's very kind of like a game where they're playing games and answering questions. It's led more so by the teacher, and they're just answering questions, building their little character as far as their interest in answering questions about what they like to do, hobbies and so forth. And so then it builds upon that into 3rd and 4th grade, where they do more inventories where they're answering questions, whereas the first couple years is just really getting into the program, familiarizing themselves with it, and doing more game-like activities that have a purpose.
So it's really based on just what they're responding to, type of questions or type
There's
of
curriculum that's being led. It's not, they don't just go in there and explore. That we have a year at a glance, and that's handed to the teacher, and so they know exactly what lessons they need to be doing on what day and how to help support those students.
Yes, Dr. Douglas.
In your priorities list, you mentioned, and it's clear from the graphs, that I think for elementary and secondary level, aggression, peer relationships, and disruption in class. Do you have any sort of game plan or things that might be done differently to kind of address that going into the next school year, since that seems to be an obvious need across the district?
Yes, it is. We look at it by grade level as well and break it down to see, and a large part of that is our transition years are hard for students. And so building in more capacity for those students when they're transitioning from 5th grade to 6th grade, 8th grade to 9th grade, and making sure that there's systems in place, there's programs and processes in place to help them in that transition, because that's where we see a large peak in those incidences as well. So we are working together with the APs and administrative teams to make sure that they're collaborating and supporting those students in those transitions.
At some point in the future, I don't know whether from you or from the administrator, what those processes might be or ways that they intend to kind of do that would be, I think, informative.
Sure.
Any additional questions for Dr. Devlin? All right, if not, we'll say thank you, Dr. Devlin.
Thank you.
Presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, and that takes us 7B, our construction program update, and we welcome back to Colbert.
All right, board members, want to bring you up to speed on what's happening. I know you guys are seeing some activity around the district. There we go. All of our projects are in some form or fashion moving forward. I want to start off talking to you about the roofing upgrades right now. Kennedale High School, the demo is well underway. We're actually putting all the base sheets down with the bitumen, making some progress, dealing with some challenges, coordinating between the air conditioning and the roofer. Not so much air conditioning work, but the roofer respecting the air conditioning while he's out there. Found some challenges on all of your roofs that we didn't expect to find when we peeled some things off. Not to get too deep into the weeds, but we do have some blocking challenges, some wood blocking nailers for the roofing materials, and some flashing challenges that we're addressing right now with Ray Engineering. But that project is moving along nicely. Because of those, we didn't want to proceed too deeply into the roof until we identified exactly what needed to happen with the high school, so that's why it kind of sat there a little bit. But they're moving forward with that one. At the junior high, a lot of work's going on. The roof, we actually started putting cap sheets on today. What you're looking at there is a completion of all the substrate for the roof. All the new drains have been installed. Obviously, they've got looks like at the bottom there, a lot of roofing materials that need to be taken to the landfill. But with the cap sheet going on, it's bringing the junior high to closure in pretty short order, so it's coming along nicely. Patterson, looks like a hodgepodge there, but the coating is going on. We found some challenges at Patterson as well, specifically the way the roof was built. It's not so much holes in the roof as it is holes between the metal connections, the way the hips come together, the way the valley gutters were constructed. You have open conduits for water, so when you get some of the toad stranglers that you guys get up here with the lateral rain coming in, it's coming straight into the building. So we're working with the roofer and with Wary to come up with some design options to try to go ahead and address these within the contingency that we have. So that's why you see the coating sort of in stripes. We've left areas open because we have to address the penetrations. You can see the valley gutter there, and how it's, the technical term is pookie, that they put in there to try to keep the water from getting into the building. I'm kidding, of course. But they've caulked that roof like crazy, and all of that's got to be stripped off. The tape's got to be put down, the fabric and the coating, and we want to make sure we do it right. We can coat it, but if we just coat it, 2 years from now, you're going to be cussing us all because it's going to be leaking again. So we're going to try to fix the flashing, fix the valley gutters, fix those kind of things before we actually put the coating on the building. But that's coming along nicely as well. We do have a challenge. Ms. Mode just informed me that we have Meet the Parent on August 8th, and the gym is full of this roof, buckets and buckets of this roof cutting material. So we've got to go to Plan C on that one, figure out what we're going to do. But all in all, progress is being made. You guys did a partial walkthrough. Too bad you didn't make it over to the weight room. It's looking really good, but the cleanup should be occurring over the next couple of days. Ceiling tile will be going in. Air conditioners are running. It's cooled off, and it's looking really nice. You can see the LED lighting upgrades have also been done as well. At the junior high, similarly, for the HVAC, you may recall it was horrible insulation in that building. It was hanging down, it looked nasty. We've gone through and we've done spray foam insulation. That should be completed this week. So that's going to change the whole dynamic of that building. The air wasn't on and actually felt comfortable in there the other day, and it was 98 degrees. So the big challenge for us is, I think the gremlins in your air conditioning systems around the district have caught wind that you guys are replacing them. So a lot of them decided they're just going to retire now. And we're not expecting units until the end of the year. So we're working with E3, with Ms. Mode and her staff, to see if we can keep some of these units going until we know we get the units. We might have to have some tangential work where we went in and wanted to knock out a campus. We might have to fix a couple units here, get a couple units going there as quick as they come in. But we've got a meeting scheduled tomorrow, and Johnny's supposed to give us a schedule or an update on when he thinks some of these units will be in. But they're really going to start hitting later this year, with the bulk of this air conditioning work taking place next summer. But things are coming along nicely there with the lighting and the HVAC. The PAC sound system, those guys got off to a late start. We're very frustrated with it. They're working hard in there. We're actually made a demand on them to come in with a temporary sound system, because we know you have a lot of activities starting on the 5th, a little thing called a Miss Fort Worth pageant, and a few other things. And just in case they're not ready, we're going to have a backup system in place. Slight delay on their speaker delivery. The manufacturer wasn't completely honest on when he said he would have them delivered. So we're trying to make sure we have belt and suspenders in place to make sure the PAC keeps functioning, even if it's with a nice temporary system. So
will all the stuff in the parking lot be cleared out too with that timeline, or is that going to be?
All the stuff in the parking lot belongs to the roofer. Yeah.
But there's going to be more stuff coming from
ABG. Now, we've talked with ABG. They're not expecting to take up much more space. We did move one cargo box on the opposite side of the high school. We've started the process.
I thought it was roof stuff too. Someone else told me it was for the
I'll
PAC.
just jump ahead. No,
Yeah.
no,
Oh.
that's all. Well, some of it is roof material for the PAC, but that's the roofing contractor, all of his insulation and materials there. Along that line, ABG has started their buyout, and so they're closing out their subcontracts. We've already relocated the 100 wing to other places throughout the building. Mr. Cagle's been very helpful in playing the musical chairs with his teachers. But there's still a lot of furniture in those rooms. And so even though you're long-term not going to keep the furniture, we're gonna store it until we're done with the renovation. And so we're looking at dropping one, if not two, cargo boxes. We're not happy where they dropped the first one. We have a little bit different idea. We're gonna try to keep them out of the main. We don't wanna lose parking spaces right there in front of the building. So we're gonna fix that, but those cargo boxes will be where the furniture is stored as we go through the process of renovating the interior. And then we'll have staging areas for ABG, but as Mr. G said, it's gonna get more crowded before it doesn't. And so, we'll work through those challenges. The city has been reasonably diligent in reviewing the plans for the building. We actually got approval for the addition for the storage for the band and fine arts. And we got a permit, or plan approval for the interior renovation. But they had some things they wanted us to look at related to site development for the culinary lab and, I'm losing my mind, something else. But bottom line is we expect to have our full approval and permits approved by the next week. And so we'll be rocking and rolling. That's gonna allow ABG to finalize their buyout, and we're looking at mobilizing sometime in mid to late August. And it'll be full bore. They're gonna come into the 100 wing and start their process to go through the school, and they'll start the demo and site development for the storage building in the culinary facility. There we go. Junior high, you guys have approved the design development. We released the project, or the construction documents. We released the project on the 12th of this month. We held a pre-bid conference on the 19th. Had great turnout. A lot of subcontractors and vendors interested in the project. We had bids scheduled for the 6th. We've got an addendum going out Monday, and my recommendation to the team was, I think that's pressing the market a little too heavy to come out with a large addendum that close to bid date. So we're gonna likely extend that bid date to the 15th. And with you guys having a late meeting in August, it should work out fine, give us plenty of time to validate it, and still bring that to you for consideration as a guaranteed maximum price at your August meeting. That's with Steel Freeman, and that will start the work. Got a big addition on that campus. A lot of interior renovation will be done. But that project is on track. Central Warehouse, you guys approved the bid tonight, so we'll be issuing contract documents to ABG to get that done. There's really nothing holding up those guys tackling it. We're probably way behind when Mr. G wanted this project to be done, but I think at the end, everybody's gonna be pretty happy with it. At Delaney, you guys approved your design development tonight. We've already issued the RFP for construction manager at risk for that facility. Tuesday, we held a pre-proposal conference, had a good turnout for general contractors. Those proposals will be due on the 6th. We'll evaluate those and hopefully bring back a recommendation for your construction manager at risk for Delaney at your August meeting. Likewise, excuse me, Patterson, we'll be back in August to present the schematic design. We'll also hopefully be back to make a recommendation on the construction manager at risk for that project. That'll help us through the phasing and scheduling of that project as well. We'll also look at, it's not unusual, but if there's an opportunity for schedule or economy of scale, these projects aren't super big, but if a single general contractor was selected, their buying power changes exponentially in terms of buying floor tile and paint and wall tile and that type of thing. So they can go to a manufacturer and say, I've got 70,000 square feet, what kind of deal can you cut me? And then go back and say, well, what if I gave you 160,000 square feet? Their buying power changes. So we'll take that into consideration when you evaluate the proposal. We held a pre-proposal conference today, actually had 8 general contractors show up. And 2 had notified us that they had a conflict, couldn't make it. But that's exciting that we're getting that kind of turnout for a project of this type and size. Overall budget, we're in great shape. This sheet here does reflect the consideration of ABG You'll notice the commitment under the administration has gone up to 3.9 million. So it still shows us in great shape budget-wise. So we're pretty anxious about the junior high project coming in. That's a big number, and we're hoping that falls within the budget that we have. But all in all, you guys are in great shape, and we'll keep this up to date. And any additional numbers you want to see, talk to Ms. Moody, Ms. Douglas. I'm happy to give you guys access to that and just kind of show you how we're keeping track of everything, because it's a team effort between us and Ms. West and her staff. So, with that, happy to answer any questions.
Real quickly about the roofing, it sounds like, junior high is probably further along than any of the others.
It is.
That's still on pace to be done in December, or are you gonna get that done earlier?
Well, we weren't stretched out that long. We had hopes of Patterson being knocked out before school started. Had a little bit of a delay in getting the materials approved. The contractor submitted some coating materials that were compliant, but where we went kind of round and round. Finally got them approved. They got them delivered, got started. But when they got up to Patterson, they found the actual roof construction challenges, the way the roof was built. They were a little apprehensive about just coating the roof if what they were coating wasn't good in the first place. So we lost a little time there. We actually found that the roof drains at the junior high were not really roof drains. They were they did drain, but they were not constructed the way they should have been constructed. So we replaced, I think, 68 roof drain assemblies on that campus. That stalled us a little bit. We can't put the cap sheet on till that's done. But the way they're gonna roll, they should be pretty close to wrapping up the junior high by the time school starts. High school's gonna go into the semester a month or so, but we're still pretty well on track for the schedule.
I'm sorry, my phone,
That's okay.
went off. You said that junior high is on track to be done by time when school starts?
It could very well be done by the time school starts. If they start a cap sheet today, there's a couple, it'll be close, but yeah.
I have two questions.
Yes, ma'am.
The first one is, what is a cap sheet?
So, you notice the roof image of the junior high was all black.
Mhm.
That's the felt materials, the deck boards, and the bitumen mastic, if you will, that goes down. The cap sheet is a final manufactured sheet that goes on, it's mopped on, it's adhered with bitumen, and it'll give it more of a grayish to white look, more reflective of the heat, but that's the final layer that goes on.
And the other one is, throughout the presentation, you talked about contractors and bid and all that. And I think this was brought up before, but I still want to keep it at the forefront. How are we recognizing or reaching out to the historically underutilized businesses so they have an opportunity to
That's a great question.
bid?
We're posting all these projects through Miller IDS, which is in the old days, that's who everybody sent their documents to be printed and you get the big rolls. Well, now they have a digital platform. They take our solicitation and post it to 50 to 80 digital plan rooms and plan rooms around the state, including all of the minority supported and historically underutilized businesses, their plan rooms and organizations as well. So that, along with the local publications, we put it out there, not just locally, but regionally and statewide.
Okay.
All right?
Any additional questions for,
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, sir.
I just, while we're on it, just back to school update, I think the concern is, the parking and all that stuff around the campuses and traffic flow. I will say that we were looking at doing a plumbing project at the junior high school. We had postponed that because we were probably gonna have to go through the parking lot in order to do that, and with school coming up, there just wasn't enough time, so we kind of put that on hold. But the reality is, it's gonna be congested, it's gonna be tight, it's gonna be a continuous fluid, I hate the word fluid, I think we had this discussion the other day. It's just gonna be a fluid situation for several years.
Well, good things are happening with it, it's just a matter.
They are, and you gotta keep your eye on the prize. Right now, it's a good example. I mean, Wary has individuals on site every day. We've got people on site almost every day. And still, laborers are laborers. They do silly things, and you know, we're, as hard as we're looking, there's still things that are getting, that we find that sadly could have been avoided, but, it's becoming a nice collaboration, barking chain kind of thing between campus leadership, coaches, Miss Mode, her staff, us, Wary, and then it'll be the same thing with the general contractors. There'll be a fire, you know, hotline that every principal can call with any issue on their campuses, and so far everybody's been very responsive in terms of the contractors, that is. So.
And I will say this is much different than a lot of construction projects in districts because they're building a new campus or
You're
they're
right.
focusing on one campus. We're touching every campus in our district. And our central administration with the warehouse. So it's gonna be a lot of moving pieces and parts for a while.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That takes us to section 7C, which is second reading of update 123.
Okay, so second reading, like I said, you have the thing to read through it. We just got regs in on update 69 for, there's another, instead of like update 123, there's an update 69 that deals with the regs. So we got those in late today. We're gonna be going through those and scanning them and just making sure that they fit with what we need and how, or adjusting them as we need to. And we're gonna bring that back at the special meeting in August to sit there for your approval. Yep. All right.
Are you saying regs?
Regulations.
Okay, I thought it was something new.
Administrative regulations.
Gotcha, very
Yeah.
good, thank you.
There are a few of the things that policies are changing that are gonna require administrative regulations to be adopted. TASB's put out this new update with it that has, just for the regs, and so we're gonna be going through those. All right.
All right, we'll now go to section 8, which is superintendent's report.
All right.
Dr. G.
I'm gonna be pretty brief here. So Monday, Ms. West and I attended the Tarrant Appraisal District Board meeting at Arlington ISD headquarters. And so they have 3 new board members that have come on that were appointed, or not appointed, sorry, that were elected board members, not appointed board members. And they have brought with them a new agenda. That agenda is to save property tax payers money, and that is a big push from their perspective. So their first agenda immediately had on it to cap property values. And so they wanted to freeze property values immediately, and then they want to cap them or put a percentage in. They also wanted to switch from every year evaluations, appraisals, to every 3-year appraisals. Well, that impacts the taxing entities in a major way. And so we don't, as I've always said, we don't control the values. All we can, Robert, thanks, by the way, safe travel. We don't control the appraisal values, that the CAD or TAD, you know. We control the tax rate to a certain extent on our INS side, but on the M&O side, we've been, you know, even with them, we're kind of told what our framework is that we need to do based off of the appraisal district's values. But with the M&O, we really have no control over that at all. That's established by the state. So now with them trying to control the values and how often those can be appraised, that could impact our ability to pay our bonds. And so that's concerning, because if they tried to cap it, they didn't cap it, they put a 5% limit on it, that it could only increase 5% if there's justification for it. So you just heard earlier that our values this last year have increased 5.5%. So that, 5.5. But is that all properties or is that certain properties? So, I mean, it's based off each property, but in order for them to, the TAD to raise, say, your house or my house over 5%, there's gonna have to be justification from the TAD why that happened. And So that was the one caveat that they put in there. Instead of going to 3 years, they voted to go to every 2 years, which in my opinion is not so bad, but I mean, they're going to basically at least align with the state, because if we aren't aligned with the state, then that throws us out of whack, and then that could affect our funding in another way. So at least every 2 years, they should be aligned with the state's survey that goes out that they are conducting, which is the comptroller's office, because if the central appraisal districts from each county aren't matching up with what the comptroller thinks they should be appraising at, then they don't pay at that level. They pay what the central appraisal district paid at, and now school districts are losing money there. So there's that potential, but with them being every 2 years as opposed to 3, I think that's not gonna affect us as much. They are freezing it next year. Tell me, say something, if I say something wrong, help me out here.
No, you're good.
They're freezing it next year, which means that what the values are this appraisal year will roll over to next year. And then they're gonna go like on the 2-year appraisal cycle. That's pretty much.
You still
what they came
capping
up with.
things at 10%? Are they capping things at 10% if you're homesteaded and all that? Does that stay the same?
They didn't say anything. Did you hear that?
That's separate.
That's separate from
That's
that?
a 10% if you have an additional home and something else, yeah, that's separate. This is.
Additional homes in this economy?
What, yeah.
Ooh.
But like if you have rental properties.
No.
That kind of thing,
Oh.
they cap it at 10% for your extra farm.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
With them trying to cap everything and keep it below a threshold and doing the appraisals every 3 years, if the values were not able to go where they were adjusting, that could affect our ability to pay our bond debt on our INS side. We can't raise the bond debt on the INS side without voter approval, so that becomes an issue. So then you have to have, if you don't have enough money to pay for it because of the values not being high enough, then you have to use your fund balance. And so that's why we're looking at our fund balance that we have, and yes, we're gonna have to use some of it to pay down some debt or bond debt this year, but we also need to leave some in case we have to have money to pay for it. So it's gonna be a game of wait and see, and see how it affects us. So that's that update. Okay. There are questions about the legality of it. There are also people who are questioning, is the state gonna let this happen? Because the state, that's also affecting the state's ability to raise and collect taxes. Do the local entities have that authority? So that becomes an issue that could potentially become a lawsuit. So, all right. So y'all ready to get involved in another lawsuit? And then, back to school, we talked about it. I know that was some of the concerns as far as like traffic and all that. We're gonna be working, I've already told Mr. Davis, and I've told Eileen, you know, and Robert, you know, we've gotta work to sit there and try to start locking down what our traffic flow patterns are gonna be. And they may be adjusting throughout the school year, what those traffic flow patterns look like. So it's gonna be, like I said, a very fluid situation that may not all be mapped out and easy to keep up with, but we're gonna try to get the information out as quickly as we have it. But like I said, we're still locking in some of these contractors and getting meetings with them to establish kickoffs where they're gonna be staging the materials, and as we get those plans, we'll have more details there.
I
You
know
have a
this is
question?
not, yeah, I know this is not us, but on Mistletoe that they're
Mhm.
fixing it. Do we know if they're gonna be done
In front of Arthur.
Yeah.
in
So
front of
you talking
Arthur
about
and the sidewalks and like
The road is
Delaney?
blocked off.
Yeah.
So, what they're doing in Delaney, we weren't included in the design. That wasn't our grant. We didn't have anything. All I did
Yeah,
was write letters in support of it, but we don't control what they're doing with it. I didn't know they were gonna come out into the street with curbage and all that stuff. That's been kind of a new thing to me, seeing it. But the, Delaney along, what is that road?
Mistletoe or Arthur?
No, the one right beside
Delaney,
Delaney.
The one by,
Paul-
it's
Clover
Clover
Lane,
Lane,
okay.
thank you.
That one should be done. They're telling us that should be done before school starts.
Okay.
Mistletoe in front of Arthur, as I told y'all at the last
That's our
meeting,
cross.
they're only gonna be working on that, during school hours after our drop-off and our pick, and they're gonna stop before our pickup time. So they're gonna be conscious of that. That's what I'm hearing from the city, is that that's what they're going to do, so that they're not interfering with our traffic flows and patterns at Parson. Yeah.
I was gonna ask Delaney, traffic is usually pretty crazy there for pickup and everything, so.
Yeah, and adding
Plus the
another grade,
walkers.
adding
and-
another grade level, so, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're conscious of that, had conversations with them, was assured that they're gonna only work between our drop-off and pickup times, so that they're not interfering with that traffic flow pattern. So. And then, we had the first outreach at Hammond Creek on Wednesday. Jordan, great job getting with people and organizing. It was a little chaotic. It was fun. I mean, we ended up having probably, I'd say, close to 40 kids that came through, or if not more, and I believe they passed out 50 backpacks from the community. So it was good, and we had a good session with the Catholic Church that did the presentation, and they really kind of went through a lot of things. I was able to speak, and the interpreter, and they were able to ask questions about enrollment and things, and we got them enrolled that day. So all in all, very positive and good. And so it was a little chaotic and a little hectic at times, but it was a good event. So then we got our next one coming up with our shot immunization clinic that Nurse Humphreys is putting on. That will be at Delaney on the 31st. And then we are waiting to schedule another one with the Catholic Church for the Spanish Church in August, 1st of August. So, yeah. All right.
Yeah, I just want to mention that I heard that that actually went really well at Hammond Creek. I think it was more than was expected, and that's the type of outreach to the community that I think we've been talking about. So
Yeah, that's good.
I think thumbs up to that. So.
All right. And then staffing update, I've asked Tracy to provide some information going into the year, kind of as we're talking about the start of school, where we're sitting with our hires and what we're still looking to fill.
So far to date, for beginning of the year, we've hired 44 professional staff, 14 support staff, and we have 2 pending hires right now. Since we're a Title I district-wide school, when we hire an instructional para, they either have to have the 48 credited college hours, an associate's degree or higher, or pass a local assessment. And so we have 2 pending hires for those para positions. Currently, we only have 9 vacancies throughout the district. Maintenance and food services are fully staffed. Technology has 2 hires that I know Brian's been actively doing interviews this week when he's had the time. High school in Delaney are fully staffed. Junior high, they are needing to hire a sped teacher. Patterson has 1 grade level teacher and 1 para, and then Arthur has a sped teacher and 2 paras. So principals are knocking it out of the park, interviewing and getting people hired. So that's been good. And what Ms. West had said about absorbing the 7 positions, we were able to, and it's mainly at Delaney and Patterson, just based on enrollment, the lower grade levels, we were able to absorb a 1st grade position, 2 2nd grade positions, a 3rd grade position, and a 5th grade position. Do you have any questions?
Could you do that one more time, 1 first grade?
Sure. 1 1st grade, 2 2nd grades, and of course, we say we absorb them, but then another grade level may have needed an additional one. So just based on the numbers of the grade levels going up. So 1 1st, 2 2nd, 1 3rd, and 1 5th. And then Mr. Cagle was able to absorb 1 social studies position based on his numbers of the teachers that he has in that department. And then the junior high was able to absorb 1 sped position,
What?
special education position.
When y'all are saying absorb, what does that mean?
Well, just based on enrollment, the numbers going from, say, 1st grade to 2nd grade or 3rd to 4th grade, just based on enrollment, by that grade level. If someone was to
Thank you.
have resigned,
Okay.
we wouldn't refill that position. And like
So
Ms. West said, we
it's
done
done
cut
away
any
with.
positions.
It's-
No.
No.
It was just through attrition. If someone happened to resign, we'd look at the enrollment numbers for that particular grade. And if the enrollment numbers didn't support that additional FTE, we didn't need to post it.
And vice versa now, if we get a flood of students for that
Then
particular
we will
grade
post the
level, then
position.
they'll post the position and hire.
And,
Just with the
and,
current shift in numbers, it wasn't needed for right this second.
and if we had like less students in one grade level, but we had more students going to another grade level, then we were able to move certain teachers into those other grade
Right.
levels. So we didn't have to get rid of a position, we just shifted that position to another grade level.
Put it out fire, you're responding to your numbers,
Thank
to your
you.
thing.
Yes, yes, the principals did a great job at looking who they had on their staff for those particular grade levels, especially at the elementary level, to see who would be best fit. If they didn't need 5 teachers in first grade, but they needed 5 in second, they did the shifting based on that.
Do you recall, I see you said junior high still looking for one sped teacher, right?
Yes.
But they absorbed a sped
Well,
position.
the high school reassigned one teacher from the high school over to the junior high, and so that filled a position. So technically it was from the high school,
Okay.
but it's a different sped position.
The junior high numbers are higher than the high school's
Yes.
sped numbers. I think we saw that in the presentations we did before. Our junior high sped numbers have really jumped up.
No, okay. So you moved one from the high school
To the junior high.
And then the.
And we won't need to fill the one at the high school based on their numbers. She's gonna come in and support that.
Gotcha. And then the junior high, one sped position that they did absorb, was that a para, or who was that?
It's a teacher.
That was a teacher?
Yes, yeah.
I want to add that in special ed, it is about numbers, but also about student need. So when you look at an IEP, this particular student might require a one-to-one para. So if that student goes from the junior high to the high school, para is going with that particular student. So it may look, like we're shuffling staff, but it's more about the students as they progress through the grade level, what their IEP requires and what we're able to provide. Special education is a little bit different than the other core subjects and grade levels.
And as we know, those positions are hard to fill right now, so.
No,
And
sorry,
I-
one more question as I'm looking at what you said. So the junior high, that there was a sped teacher that we absorbed?
Yes.
Okay. But at Arthur, we still do need 2 sped paras.
At Arthur, yes, we need, well, one's a sped para and one's a pre-K para.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't clarify that. Yeah, one is a sped and one is a pre-K.
Okay.
Mhm.
But all in all, we're in
Great shape.
fairly good shape.
Really
I won't
good
say
shape.
great shape, but fairly good shape. I will take that over some of the other districts that I hear about, so, yeah. Any other questions on anything that, that's pretty much my report and her report, so. Good job.
Thank
Brittany.
you.
All right.
Thank you, Tracy.
All right.
Anything else under superintendent's report?
Well, you wanna talk about these great jerseys that we're wearing? Yeah, you wanna talk about those real quick?
I think we look great.
That's under
So
board discussion.
every year, the school board, we attend the SLI, basically a school board conference. And some school districts do things to stand out. And this year, with the help of Mr. Glover here, we stood out.
We sure did.
So we thought if we stood out at the school board conference, that we would allow everyone to see how we stood out. So that's why we are in our jerseys. This is what we wore. And I think if I can have a model, stand up and spin around. You'll also notice that the numbers on the back represent our school board place number. Okay, so.
I have no place, so I'm.
He's the bad boy.
He's a 0.
0. So hoping that you guys liked
It's a
it,
double.
and no school board funds were spent in the purchase of them.
Correct.
We bought them ourselves.
Yes,
Yes.
we
We
did.
asked if he wanted, place 0 or,
8,
no, oh, we said 8 or
Oh, 97?
98 for
$98
the
million,
bond pass.
Well, we said that after we already ordered them, so, but I mean, yeah. that would
I
be
just
cool.
feel like the guy who has to wrangle the school board at the school board convention should probably be the bat boy, so 00 makes sense.
Alright, so anyway, I figured if you wanted to know why we were wearing those tonight, they just wanted to show off, you know, their school spirit and, the fact that they, we had a lot of compliments on the
Yes.
jerseys. that
We
They
did.
were
I think we
big hit.
started a new trend,
We
actually.
did.
It was
There were a
awesome.
couple of other ones that had jerseys, but nothing like these.
Nothing.
No.
Not this
nothing like
quality.
So obviously for next year, we need to up our game.
Yeah, we anticipate others attempting to be like
Yeah.
us.
That's right.
You know, they want to be like a Wildcat.
We might need
Suggestions?
away jerseys that are in black with green pinstripes, or, you know.
I think we should put some yellow in them.
No.
Let's go back to the, yeah, let's get it. We'll go back to the original color.
Yeah, or maybe we can just get football jerseys. you know?
You wanna see us in the
Oh.
jerseys?
I don't want to.
All right, awesome. Okay. Well,
I
let's,
don't want to wear that or see it.
All right, so
let's mosey on down to section number 9, which is board discussion. And first thing we always discuss is gonna be what date we're gonna meet. Okay, next time around.
we got a little bit of, we got quite a few things. We gotta have to have a special meeting, and there are quite a few things that are gonna have to be done because we need to have them in place before school starts. Our code of conduct, we're gonna have a discussion tonight that's gonna kinda dictate what we do with the code of conduct and also with some policies, so we need to look at that. But, I'm having a hard time reading my screen here, so hold on. Code of conduct, update 123, I said the third reading with the regs will be in place. My evaluation, we always try to have that in a separate meeting as opposed to having it into the general meeting, so we're gonna move that to this meeting. Turf, we got the specs that are being developed right now, so we need to sit there and have the, approval so that we can sit there.
It won't be till August the end of August meeting, correct? The regular meeting, yeah.
So they're not gonna have it,
No, because it has to be published for 2 weeks and.
all right, so that's gonna come off then, okay, so we're good there. And then, discussing cell phone policy, if there's anything that we're going to adjust with that, and that will be part of the discussion tonight is cell phone policy.
I'd rather not do the 8th because that's meet the
orientation,
teacher
meet the
and
teacher and
if-
junior
I
high
know it's
orientation.
at least 2 or 3 schools have meet the teacher that night,
Okay, and that's,
the 8th.
12 puts us the night before we
Night
start
before
school.
school, oh.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I can do it.
Well, we could back it, and if we need to go sooner than that, I mean, there's nothing that would keep us from going, like, sooner than the 9th or 8th. If you wanna go sooner than that.
What
Because
about-
if we're not gonna have the turf, what we were worried about was the turf, and that's not gonna be factored in anyway, so we can actually back it up before that now then if we need to.
I can't do next week.
At all?
No, nothing.
Okay.
what about
Sorry.
Tuesday the 6th?
Region 11 has their teacher available that night.
Oh, that's our Region 11, okay, so I won't be
Your
available, Dr.
calendar.
Vu and I will not be available that night, so.
And we don't do Wednesdays?
What about Monday, the 5th?
I cannot Monday,
Can't do Monday?
no. It's,
And we're definitely not gonna do a Friday.
I'll come Friday night then.
It sounds like
Hold on.
August 12th.
I can do Monday if we can shift time and not start as early, so I can shift, no, wait, I still have one kid that I need to figure where he comes.
So if Monday the 5th is an option, if we do it at 7?
No, well, yeah, and I'll shift him somehow, yeah. My husband's out of town that week, and I'm trying to figure out one of my kids who gets off at 8:30, how I get him to me. But I can figure that out.
If you could do that, that'd be a great.
Yeah, I'll
that'd
figure it
be
out.
awesome.
So Monday the 5th?
Yeah,
Monday the
At
5th
7.
at 7 o'clock,
yes.
Okay.
okay. will be our special meeting, on the 5th at 7 o'clock. Okay, and then our regular meeting, 29th.
That is Thursday, that is 2 days before the
The
deadline.
deadline for the budget?
Yep, and for, tax rate, so.
Can we do it the week before?
No. You need time,
Oh,
don't you?
we need-
Yeah, we gotta,
They need
we gotta
time to
post
get
it
a
and all
published
that.
Yeah.
Plus, we're waiting on
weeks
the,
or
For 2 weeks.
When is the when are we doing the public reading?
well, we usually try to do that like the same at the same. It's a
Well-
public hearing, but the reality is
We do that.
we've had absolutely no people in 5 and 6 years come to the public hearing on that, for that purpose. So we usually just include it at the same time as the meeting.
Last
Before
year,
the meeting.
I think last year we may have done
separately.
it like as a special before.
We did.
We did, and we said it because it doesn't give people
Yeah.
a chance to, even though they haven't come, we said they may
We're
come
gonna set it, I think we set it for 1 day, and then
We
we have the
did.
meeting the next
the
day.
next day.
Yes.
So,
So if we follow the precedent that we did last year, what, we have to have it published for 2 weeks before we can
It
adopt it?
has to
Is
be,
that correct?
10
it
days.
has to be, yeah, and then it has to be in the newspaper for 10 days.
So what's our last day then? Who has that?
Well, it depends on when you have the meeting. It's gotta be at least 10 days before the meeting, but it
Yeah,
can't be
you
more
set
than
the
30
meeting and we
days.
have
Yeah,
to,
so,
that worked backwards.
So we'll, yeah,
okay, so we're still looking at the 29th for the meeting, for the regular meeting?
That's what we're proposing, yes.
Okay, is that amenable, okay with everybody? So we'll set the regular meeting at the 29th, for the 29th of August. Then 2 weeks before that, or 10 days before that, means we're like on Tuesday the 20th?
You just have to have the
That's
publication
just when it's
posted
published.
in the newspaper
Yeah.
10 days before you have the public hearing.
Okay,
Yeah, we just need to know the date so that she can get it to the newspaper
can
on
post
time.
by the
and
19th.
Get it published and all that.
Yeah.
So,
We don't have to do a public, public reading, it's that, what is
It's
it?
a public hearing.
Hearing, that's it.
We'll just do it before our
all
regular.
right, so then we can we'll do the hearing on Tuesday 27th, and then
I would just say, have
Do
it
it right
before the
before,
meeting,
yeah.
have it, the special meeting before the regular meeting and do it then.
now, is that, but that's not what we did last year, was it?
That's not what we did last year.
I thought,
no,
We set it as a
Mr.
separate
Glover,
date so that if anybody wanted to hear it
Mhm.
and then come and speak about it on the day we voted on it,
Yeah.
they would be able to do
I'm
so.
more in favor of us following that precedent. So I think we need to find a date before the 29th to go ahead and have that done.
27th works?
So I think that's gonna be the best scenario for us, is to do it on the 27th, just in case someone does wanna show up. We need to provide that opportunity.
And we'll just do that.
Yeah, just do that. It may be it could be a 5-minute meeting,
Yeah.
okay? So I think that's what we do. Is that
27th.
cool with everyone else?
at what
Yes.
time?
6 o'clock?
Yes, 6 o'clock on the 27th. Okay, so we do that.
Yeah.
All right, so if we do that, that satisfies everything that we need to do, correct?
We said 6.
Please, so.
All right, great. Awesome.
Douglas, are you okay with that?
Yeah, so Monday, just to recap, Monday, August 5th was 7 PM for that special,
Because she's got,
right?
Yep.
Yes.
Right, but then the one for the 27th was 6 PM for that
6
one.
Yeah.
And then the regular meeting on the 29th,
6
Six
p.m.
6
6
PM. Okay, just make sure.
Okay.
very good.
Yep.
Okay.
All right,
I
great.
don't like having meetings for meeting's sake, but
Yeah.
in the spirit of what that's supposed to be.
Yes.
I got it. I think that, I think we all, we know that, we understand that being a public servant requires outlay of our persons, and we'll just outlay ourselves on that date. How about that?
Works for me.
All right, great, awesome. Okay, then we will, let's see he will also attach the endorsement update. Is that gonna be what we're gonna talk about at that meeting as well, or is this something for tonight?
At that meeting, yeah.
Mr. President, you skipped B.
I skip B, discuss a change to the board operating procedures and adopt if necessary.
So you have a copy of the board operating procedures for your review. So at the next board meeting, regular board meeting, if there's anything that would like to be changed, it needs to be proposed. So if you can send that to us and we can get that changed and then sent out for everybody. So then if you want it changed at the next board meeting, then it will be done. Okay?
Okay, Dr. G, would it be okay if somebody has something that they want to get changed, they should send it in beforehand?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I thought, sorry. I think I'm losing my voice. I don't know. Yeah, that would be the intent. You have a copy of it right now for your review. Make
Yeah.
any changes you think or would propose, and then, you know, we can send those in, and then we can discuss it at the next board meeting and go
Yeah.
forward.
Great, all right. And
So
B-
I'm
yes.
sorry, I have a point of clarification. At our last meeting, I thought we did this. Did we not?
I don't think everybody was here, and I don't think we never received anything, so, from anybody.
Okay, so, no. We had a quorum and we discussed it. And it was stated in that meeting that no changes would be made. So
Okay, I can go back
we're
and
not
review.
supposed to vote on it tonight?
But maybe that's what, no, it's not a vote tonight, there's no vote.
Or is it just the way it's gonna be?
Or if you already voted and you said no changes, then I'll have to go back and review.
I don't think we
I don't know.
voted on anything explicitly.
Why don't we review that?
Yeah, we'll review it.
Let's review that. If we did vote on it, then that would be
Would be in the minutes.
that'd be the
It'd be in the
minutes.
minutes,
And
right?
if we did not, then that would be something we can bring up for vote at the next meeting.
Yeah,
So can we do that?
yeah.
Okay? All right,
Let's go back and review and go from there.
awesome.
Sorry about
Yes,
the
on
confusion. I thought-
6/27, we can review it. Because I have it, board discussion, BOP, review yearly, no changes. And then we said we were gonna meet on July 26th at 6, a special meeting at 9 at the ad building, and then we would need a special board meeting for the budget. So,
So that was overlooked, and I guess we need to correct that.
yeah.
Okay.
It was, that was the meeting
So-
that, you were out of the country.
that
So
was-
in
I know, you
in
didn't
the regular meeting minutes that we approved this evening, all it says under item 8, board discussion, 8B was review of board operating procedures.
Right,
No.
so we were
No
supposed to
action.
vote, if we
But there
reviewed
was-
it
There's no
Yeah.
action.
and there weren't gonna be no changes, then we were supposed to vote today.
Well, I don't, that's not in the board meeting exactly when we're gonna vote on it, so we can just vote on it next meeting.
We're going to vote on what was discussed,
We can vote that there will be no
Oof.
changes.
In June.
Okay.
That we agreed there will be no
Yeah.
changes.
okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, all right, okay, and that's D. So next, E, upcoming events, just so everybody knows that on August 1st, the Ice Cream Social will be here in the Media Center from 3:30 to 4. And of course, that's when we'll be welcoming all of our new people, right?
I'll join you.
All right,
I heard there's free ice cream.
I heard that as well. On August 9th, convocation for KHS Cafeteria, that will begin at 9 a.m.
That's, the cafeteria starts before that, but we have breakfast in the cafeteria.
Usually
I
that's
think
like
our convocation
7:30.
actually starts out, we try to start around 9 o'clock in the audit, the pack, so.
So breakfast will be served, and then we go to the pack?
Well, if you want to
If you desire to
attend
come in.
breakfast and you want to hang out and socialize and all that stuff, then, yeah, that's it earlier.
Okay.
Am I right?
Are we
I want to make
serving
sure
breakfast?
that, you know, you're,
I think on the calendar, we have it from 9 to 11:30 this year.
for breakfast starting at 9? Okay. All right.
So what time's convocation will start?
All right, we'll clarify, we'll make sure it's in and out.
Probably like
but,
10.
you know, we usually started a little bit before that with, breakfast, so, yeah.
Okay, so look for an update regarding convocation. And of course, August 13th is the first day of the school year. So I know we're all looking forward to that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Welcome all the young ones back
to school.
and get this thing kicked off. And just one more thing.
What was D? I'm sorry, did we
yes.
go over D?
Robert's rule.
Robert's Rule of Order.
So we're looking at doing that in a special meeting with training in September.
They're coming here
Oh.
though, we're not going to
Yeah,
June
we
11th?
will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, skip two of these things tonight. Okay, so D, training for Robert's Rule of Order. We'll have a special meeting in September. Yes. Thank you, Ms. Beagle.
Good catch.
Okay. All right, so we went over section E, 1, 2, and 3, and also Midnight Madness, if you decide that you want to attend midnight on what date, Mr. Glover?
Next Sunday, August 4th, it'll be at midnight, so going into Monday morning, kicking off that football season.
Okay.
Hope to see you all there.
All right. Okay, so that takes care of board discussion, and we'll now go to section 10, personnel. Dr. G.
All right, and you have the resignations, retirements, and you have the hiring new personnel list. I'm not gonna go through all of those. You can read through that. And the other one would be if we need to go into closed session to discuss personnel matters.
So there was one request for that, so we should, it'll probably be a short one, but yes, there is a request for a closed session.
Okay.
Okay, so, and that will be, so let me go back into read that. So we're going to closed session per Texas Governance Code 551.071 and 551.074. And so we'll give everybody 5 minutes to do that. And let's see if we can come back and, well, let's say 8 minutes. We'll start that at 8:40. Okay?